Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shay Ryan Douglas, and I want to welcome you to this episode with these wonderful, wise women. We have Colleen Scott, Angie Quinn, and Sally Douglas joining us again for another episode where we talk about and have the conversation around all things health, well-being, community, empowerment, inspiration, and how we can work towards creating a wholesome life in this beautiful, natural world we find ourselves in. There are many things going on in the world right now that may be challenging many of us. I know I have definitely felt some internal tumultuation, if that's even a word. It's definitely been, particularly with this full moon, a great opportunity to reflect on what is it that is truly triggering me? What is it? Why am I feeling so emotionally charged in this moment? Not just what is it in my immediate environment, but what is the root cause of some of these emotional responses to my immediate environment. And in this episode, we're really going to look at listening. And so this is a call that you must listen to this conversation because it is very, very important. We're going to discuss the importance of listening, the power of listening, the necessity to actually drop in and listen, and what it actually means to listen deeply, intently, and with true respect to those who are in front of us. So this is a really exciting episode. I want to just invite you to like this video, comment, and maybe share this video with your friends. If you want to listen to previous episodes, you can find them all on Earth Heroes TV, or listen to the MP3 podcast. If you want to listen to this while you're driving, you can drop the link in the description below. Otherwise, thank you, ladies, for joining me. Something that I feel is really relevant in this conversation around listening, which I've really like to honor how well you ladies do this, because we have this conversation amongst 4 people and you're all listening so intently. I want to thank the listeners and the viewers right now for listening to us in this conversation. We do love to invite you to be a part of this conversation as much as possible. And if you have any questions or any feedback, please just drop it in the comment section for us. We do reply to them within the next couple of days, if not immediately. And we're working towards, in the next couple of weeks, inviting you into the course so that we can also hear your perspective on these topics, because we'd love your input. We love to have this conversation. And so look out for, in a couple of weeks, an opportunity to join us in this circle sharing, in this sacred space where we can really share on these quite meaningful conversations. And today, the importance of listening is a great question to open up with. I want to invite Colleen just to share a little bit from your perspective and insights on why is it so important, or what is the importance of listening in today's world.
Thank you, Shay. So I find that listening is such an important and key component of relationships, and all of us are in a relationship of one form or another, and one of the key human needs is to be heard and to be seen. So I find that I think it's really relevant to be able to know how to actually listen, as in to really fully understand another person's where they're at, what they're trying to express, and there's a reason we have like 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I know that's been said, I'm sure, a million times. And I find that when people feel well and truly heard, they also feel more respected and loved, and valued, and I think that's a key component of us as human beings. And so I feel like listening it can be with externally to another person, but also there's that element of listening internally. So being able to listen to our internal guidance system, our higher selves, whatever or however that looks for people, because that's also going to be key for being able to make decisions and choices in our own lives. So I think there's the two components to listening and why it's so relevant.
Yeah, Cole, I think, yeah, perfect. I think it's ironic too that even the word listen has got the same letters as the word silence, and really even asking us to take a pause, and the art of really conscious listening is appreciating uh, the fact that you get to witness somebody in their direct experience. So if they're sharing a story, or if they're wanting information, or it's you get an opportunity to honour somebody's question, honour their experience, honour what their need is, and I think in any relationship, witnessing is a beautiful part of that honouring. That's probably taking it from another perspective. It's a yin activity too, listening. It does require us to go internal. It requires a deep presence. It requires the gifts of empathy. And I often, I know I like talking, so, and being a parent, I've been caught out and told a million times to just listen to hear and not listen to reply. And I think if you've had the experience of in a lot of circle work that I've done, we run an exercise where you actually just listen without a reply. There's no reply required. And so it's listening with the ears of the heart, really, and to get a felt sense of somebody's experience gives you a much richer, deeper appreciation of what someone else is saying, and it gives you an opportunity to, in that silence and pause within yourself, to feel into what, because you're in receptive mode. The art of good listening, you're actually in receptive mode. So what is it that you're able to receive through the art of really good listening? And I think that's where there's so many gifts in the art of really good communication and really present and attentive listening.
That's both of you beautifully said. I feel like we live in such a noisy world that it's really it's a really difficult thing to listen to ourselves sometimes too, and to take that time. And I think we get caught up a little bit in the noise and the other chatter that we don't even listen to ourselves enough. And when we actually do take that time, it's a lot easier to navigate our lives and also our relationships. And it does, as you both said, that it creates a compassion and an empathy and the human connection, which is really, it feels like it's a really heart-based skill, or it's something that you really deeply care about someone when you can listen to them with your heart open and your mind open and allow them to fully express their emotions or their ideas or their concepts, and really relating, and the human relating, where we allow someone to, even if it's just expressing some deep emotion that they need to release, and just being there without any judgment. It's a really human, compassionate, empathetic skill that we have. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really hard. It's really hard to listen to somebody's experience as is without sometimes wanting to change it, particularly if it's one of your children or someone really, really close to you, and you're quite empathic and you're feeling what they're feeling. And to just sit there and really be that sounding board for them, because usually it's been my experience in sharing that I can eventually work out what it is that I'm needing, if I'm needing advice, and if there's somebody there that can hold the space and hold that really sacredly, in trust and appreciation and gratitude and empathy. I normally can navigate that space quite well myself, and I think I'm not the only one. I think most people could navigate that space, could navigate their way out of something or into something without a lot of feedback. And sometimes I think it's a myth. We as human beings, we often think we have to reply, or we think someone's asking for something, or that, you know, our natural empathy within ourselves, we may want to fix or rescue or change somebody's experience. So I think there's even an art to like holding back, you know, and being able to sit in our own experience, because it can sometimes get really uncomfortable as the listener.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that. I can remember being a mother myself, and there was a point in my children's lives when they would come home and they would want to just, I guess, debrief for the day, or they would talk about whatever was going on for them. And as a parent, you want to just like be in there and advise and, you know, give them solutions. And sometimes they just need that, to be held in that space of being able to just let out everything that's going on for them. And I can remember specifically my oldest daughter saying to me kind of quite abruptly, like, "Mom, I just need you to listen." And I think that was like a real aha moment for me of recognizing how quickly, and of course it was about me, because I wanted her to feel better and I wanted her to navigate through whatever challenge was happening for her. So it was my stuff really that I was responding to, not what she needed in that exact moment. And even with my husband Stephen, we had to work out when we were communicating, I would have to say, "I just need you to listen. I don't need you to advise or to fix or to solve." And I had to recognize that for myself as well too, so that I knew what I was looking for in the conversation or in the communication we were having, because I could feel myself getting frustrated that I just wanted to be able to offload and to be heard, but I didn't want somebody to fix me. But then there are times that I did want actually that support of some advice or support in how to solve a problem. And so I had to figure that out and be clear in my communication with that, so that he knew what my expectations were, what I was looking for. Otherwise the communications were getting a little bit challenging, I would say. So I think that's a big part of the listening, just recognizing like, what is it that people actually need in this moment, and what is required of me in that space too.
Listen to someone that wants to share their story and their pains or their delights or anything that they want to offer. And I think it's also really in being the receiver and realizing that is actually deepening your connection while you're understanding where somebody is, where they are in their heart and their mind, and letting them express to you. It's an absolute honor.
Yeah, I really love your answers. Just to kind of recap it, you spoke about listening to others, listening to yourself, and in previous episodes we talked about the intuition and listening to your intuition and your gut instinct, and really the importance of like listening and receiving someone is an act of love to that person without having a response. And there's this really great meme on the internet that has like these two pictures of two ears, and they put it up together and it says love heart. And they say, we're given, if you want the keys to someone's heart, you should listen to them. And my question to you ladies is, when someone hasn't fully comprehended that simple message of the key to someone's heart is by listening, when they want to just reply and they want to just give you the solutions and give you the answers from a place of love, of course, how does someone navigate that process when you're in a space where you really want to share just openly what's really going on, but you just want to be received, and yet this other person, partner, school teacher, mentor, friend, mother, daughter, is just giving you feedback constantly and always, just giving you the answers. This is how you do it. Can't you work it out? This is what you do. What does it take for a person to overcome that, or what's the best way to navigate that whole process?
I think that I had mentioned just, my 12-year-old daughter at one point in time said outright, "Mom, I just need you to listen." And that was like kind of a big wake up call for me of recognizing that she was stepping into her own, and that I had to be able to honor what it was that she needed, because she knew what she needed. So I think that if you can just have clear communication with whether it's your kids or your parents or your significant other, your coworkers, or whatever it is, that you have to be able to set your own clear boundaries around that of what it is that you need in that moment, and also then be able to create that space where they are able and feel safe and free enough to be able to say to you, I just need you to listen. I don't need advice right now. I just need to be heard, or I just need to offload whatever it is. And so I think it's more about us showing up, knowing if they feel safe enough to be able to communicate in that way or have those hard conversations with us, then they'll do that. And so I think that, again, that comes back to that personal responsibility of recognizing how people are feeling around you. Like, do your kids feel safe to be able to come and talk to you about anything? Does your partner feel safe to be able to come to you and talk to you about anything? And so, and look, I'm not going to say that it's easy, because that requires an awful lot of recognizing our own triggers, own wounds, and not taking things personally, and recognizing like this is a conversation. And I feel like, especially the way the world is today, like there are so many hot topics out there. It seems to be everything at the moment, and we need to be able to get back to letting people have a voice to communicate how they're feeling and ask questions and be curious without, judging them or jumping down their throat that they have a different opinion than somebody else. And so we need to be able to open up those conversations again for us to be able to grow as communities.
Yeah, really well said, Colleen. Thanks for sharing. I really like that input. Was there anything that you felt to share?
Yeah, I thought that intelligent questioning is really where it's at, is really asking for them the questions that are going to open up their discovery of what they want to share, and then allowing them to express themselves. So yeah, it's in the inquiry, I think, is probably the key for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did you have anything you'd like to share, Angie?
You expressed it well, just in relation to allowing somebody's opinion and judgment, and it's really to be present with yourself and to notice your own ego wanting to jump in, and if you're aware of that, then you can, have the capacity to be able to change that. And if someone's actually making you aware of that, if that's your pattern to jump in, that's when you're required as the listener to listen, to listen to what that other person's request is. I think that's really, really important to keep the lines of communication open. And, I think one of the challenging things is to be listening to various opinions, which there is just millions and millions and millions of opinions available now, particularly where we are right now. And even when it's not even within our consciousness to understand their judgments and their opinions. And that's when we are really required to own what's moving within us, to be a contribution to as the listener, to be a contribution to all parts of the conversation, and all angles of any opinions that are being formed, or facts that are being formed, or conspiracies that are being formed, or where I think at this point in time in the world, where we're very challenged as listeners.
Yeah, you all bring up a really good point there, and it's a really fascinating time to be in the world with so much information available, and to really drop into listening to what feels right and listening to how others are feeling with what's going on seems to be pivotal in the way that we're going to collectively as a community navigate our way through this tumultuous time. And I just wanted to acknowledge Jean Pitkin for tuning in to this episode today. She's left a couple of comments and a question for you ladies, which I'll just share what she's written. She said, I'm currently working on listening without taking on all the other person's energy. I have done this my whole life, but it's definitely my latest challenge to separate the two without getting too much influence into my heart. And I'm just wondering what you ladies' thoughts were on that. So essentially, when you're having the conversation and you're really in-depthly and tunely listening to the person that's in front of you, yet they have so much stuff going on within them that they're potentially projecting that onto the listener. And as the listener, how does one protect themselves without taking on all of that stuff? So I just wanted to thank Dean for her question, and I'm really curious to hear from you ladies what you thought on how to best navigate that one.
Yeah, I think a couple of things from a physical perspective, because sometimes a projection will really be coming at you, and if Jean is a quite empathic person, and you absorb others' energies quite easily, sometimes that can feel like it can almost feel like a violation if somebody's really projecting. And so it's really important from a physical perspective to be able to protect yourself. And one of the reasons is, one of the things that you can do for that is, or a couple of them, just briefly, and I'm sure you ladies have got something to add, but to be really embodied, to be able to feel yourself in your body, to be able to feel your heart, feel your belly, particularly in your belly and in that hara, that dantian, that space that's under your belly button where we connect to ourselves. That's within our physicality, we connect to ourselves through our hearts and through our dantian, our hara in the masculine. In the women, it's in womb space. But even just bringing your attention back into your body, and you may have to multitask at the same time, and you may even miss the conversation, but at the same time, you're asking, how do I protect myself? And by staying embodied, that's a beautiful way of just staying with yourself, and allow the other person to project or to express their opinion, or however it is that you're receiving that. And another one is, sometimes when you're facing directly in front of somebody and they're projecting, that can come across energetically, be really invasive. Sometimes if you just turn on an angle, if you just shift your body, just shift and not be directly in front of that energy that's coming at you. Not so much turn your back, but just turn, just move so that you can deflect it. And there's all sorts of other ways, like white lighting. The girls might want to go into that, putting up visualizing a mirror in front of you that's going to reflect back off any frequency or vibration that's coming at you. They're just off the top of my head. That's what I can think of to support you, Jean, in relation to how best to manage that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Great answer.
Yeah, I think I'd just add to that, too, Shay, is that when my kids were young, because I think people also have to recognize, like, are you in sympathy with someone, empathy, or surrogating? So I think those are three things that people need to be aware of, like what their default patterning is, because that's going to make a difference when you're having interactions with people. When my kids were little, I used to tell them, especially my middle child, who was definitely much more empathetic, so she would like take on easily other people's energies and really feel what they were feeling. And I would get her to visualize herself in just a bubble. And I think sometimes that's just a really easy way so that you can just have that energy outside of you. You're not taking on and feeling responsible for everything that somebody is feeling or experiencing in that moment. So you can have sympathy, meaning you understand the pain and the hurt or the joy and whatever they're feeling, but you're not taking it on as your own. So like Angie said, the embodiment thing is so important. So being grounded when you're in that space so that you can kind of set that bubble or just visualize that like eggshell space around you. So that's not intruding or entering into you, so that you can actually just be fully present and listening to them. And I think these are practices that you need to do on a daily basis. You don't want to have to do that the first time when you have something, major interaction going on, because that's just going to be too many things to try and navigate at once. So it's something that you have to be continually practicing in every interaction you have with people. So when there are bigger interactions that maybe the emotions or the energies are a little bit more challenging, that you are already knowing how to be grounded, how to be embodied, so that you can be fully present and not take on what's happening for them or feel responsible. And the other side of that is also not taking everything personally. People are lashing out, or they're, angry, or whatever it is that they're experiencing, recognizing that whatever's happening for them is within them. And you might just be the sounding board and not taking everything personally about what's happening. You can still set boundaries. Like it's not okay to be disrespectful. It's not okay to speak to me in this manner. But you're going to be able to do that more from a compassionate place, as opposed to jumping into that anger and being triggered in that moment. So I hope that's helpful as well.
Yeah, I would just like to add as well that the really great, beautiful thing about this, Jean, is that you have an awareness that it is affecting you. So once you have that, then you can work on it. So, the practices that both the girls have shared are really, really important. And the fact that you have a realization that this is something you need to look at, well, that's where it starts. So I think that's the most important part.
Sel, I lost you guys there for a moment. I don't want to double up on, I didn't hear what Cole said right at the end, but it's okay to if you check in with yourself and you know that you're not physically, emotionally, energetically able to receive somebody, it's okay to say that you're not able to, to say, I'd love to be here for you, but right now, given where I'm at myself personally, I can't be available to you. Can we meet up another time? Can we discuss this later when I'm more able to receive you? And I think that's that being able to step into your own vulnerability and have the courage to be able to really speak to where you're at, so that the other person that is sharing or projecting, or they might even be aware a lot that they are projecting, as sometimes it's a very unconscious projection, but asking for what you want and what you need and what you require in that moment. And that comes from deep presence within yourself and deep embodiment and knowing yourself. So I think the best way to handle others is to know how to handle yourself and to speak to that. And that does require those levels of vulnerability. That's the big leap.
Nice.
Absolutely. That's some very wise words from some very wise women. I'm glad that we were able to support you, Jean, and help you to understand maybe from a new perspective. And I really like what Angie shared there in the last moment, is that sense of vulnerability, that at the end of the day, no one has it all worked out, but together in open conversations, by receiving and listening with an open heart, we can work towards solutions for each other. And now more than ever, it seems that positive, life-affirming, heart-opening solutions are going to be extremely valuable in the way that we listen to one another, the way that we speak to one another, and the way that we just navigate our lives in general. And so I just wanted to listen to you ladies one last time, if there's anything that you feel is relevant to share on this topic before we close out for the day.
I think I just would encourage people to have that awareness and just make a conscious effort to be more present and to be more in that active listening space, so that it can deepen your relationships. And I think now more than ever, we really need to be coming together to learn from each other, to talk about different points of view, to help each other heal. So I think this is a really important skill set to have, and you'll notice a massive difference and enhancement in your relationships with others, and even the one that you have with yourself, if you really embrace this and step into this space.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I'll just add that people are always telling you who they are, and when you're very embodied, when you're present to yourself, when you're present to them, there's so much that you can learn, not just about the other person, but often people that are standing right in front of you are always reflecting some part of you back to them, and whether or not that's a beautiful light part or a darker shadow side, there's always something that's right in front of you that is going to benefit you through the art of really good listening. And sometimes it's what you'd love to hear, and other times it mightn't be what you want to hear. But at the same time, if you stay present and in an honouring position of witnessing another person, I think that what Colleen said, and I'm sure Sal's got something extra to add. It's an absolute skill. It's an art, and it supports you in all your relationships. Yeah, it's very high on I think communication is one of the most important things in relationships, and so to listen and to learn how to listen and to want to be a better listener is a beautiful part of our humanness and contribution to humanity.
Beautiful. Yeah, both really beautifully said. I really enjoyed listening to you both. Thank you for
Finished.
Well said. Well said. And thanks to all the listeners out there who are listening to this conversation as well. We really appreciate you guys, those who are watching in live and who will watch the replay later. We really appreciate you listening to us share. Again, we've been doing these for the last 2 months and covered a variety of topics, from the importance of listening to understanding our intuition, as well as the process of motherhood. There's many different great discussions available in the previous conversations, which you guys can find through Earth Heroes TV or on the podcast. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave us a comment or reach out to us directly. I've popped both Colleen and Angie's website information in the chat description. We'd love to have the chat and see how we can support one another through these times. So thank you very much again for listening.
Thanks, Shay.
Thank you, ladies, for joining me, and look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Shay.
Bye.
Bye.